I think the public has it.
Open the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get two of them out of the way.
Hey, I'll make a stab at this consent agenda here. Is everyone all right with the agenda, any additions or corrections? Okay, we have minutes from February 4th. We have accounts payable. We have the sheriff's report, recorder's report, permit report, jail report, and treasurer report. Make a motion to approve all those.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda, items A through H. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Liquor licenses. So we have two, Amber?
We have she said a few, so
A
if you
few?
wanna wait for a minute and when they're ready, I'll bring it back up.
Yeah. Yeah. Any public comment? Anyone here to? Do we have the public? Okay. We'll go to meeting updates. I had nothing last week. A quick phone call with MAPPA, but nothing important.
I attended the Board of Health meeting last night. Each individual department, sub-department under Board of Public Health gave an update on what they've been doing over the last month. I thought that was good. It was a well-attended meeting. It was a 3-hour-long meeting, but it was a good meeting.
I left early.
Yes, you did.
It's a long meeting.
I was at the public health meeting for a while, and then I moved on to Oak Township, where the state fire marshal was visiting. He was showing slides and things of I won't get into some part of it, but burnt residents and things, and how accelerants, what you should be looking for as firemen so that you can help the fire marshal out, and also do not disturb anything other than what you have to fight the fire. I found it very interesting. He had a lot of good points. Besides that, they serve baked potatoes and chicken breast afterwards.
I should have gone either way.
Very nice meal. Oh,
Mr. Engineer.
Just have three items. Jake did text me early this morning and wasn't feeling well, so he gave me a few notes. First one is we have a question, secondary roads. Can we use a parcel of FEMA buyout property on Jardine to temporary stockpile some millings? As you may or may not know, we've been getting some asphalt millings for a lot of the road shouldering. And we're continuing to do that. We're about out of room down at the shop area. So we have used this property before to burn. It's
Do you have an address?
no, I just get up to Jardine, and it's the there's two properties that now is in Mills County on the north side of the road. It's a smaller one to the east. Are you close?
South.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that one right there.
That one?
We, and there's probably still some evidence there. You can see we've, used it to, burn some brush in the past. This would be a permanent stockpile. Trent wanted to bring some there for shouldering on 221st and 195th Street. It's just a little closer to bring it down so the guys can maybe make an extra trip to haul. And then when we're placing it, it's a little bit closer than to bring it back here. And again, we're about out of room down at the shop, so.
No, I
there
have-
would be any
I have no
legal
problem.
problems.
Do we have any plans for it, do we?
Not that I know of.
Well, it's not permanent, I don't know why you would have a problem with it.
Yeah, we may, well, depending on whether we may get started on that as early as March. Okay, second item, as you probably are aware, I think Jake, let you know that, we're starting, the design for, overlay of, L63 coming south out of Malvern. When you get to the intersection, L63 is one that veers off to the left. Had a short pause on that. The lead designer sent me a copy of the resolution for the annexation and noted that the city limits are down the center line of 315th Street. Luckily, he sent me this. I had called Joe George, asked him what he knew about it, and he says, I thought there was a statement that the county was going to continue to maintain, and it is in Exhibit 3 of this document. There's a statement that the board said that the county would continue to maintain and repair the roads and bridges. We'll revisit it if Malcolm ever annexes the other side.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I like those are agreements as well.
I did call Joe back and told him I found this and we're moving it.
So we did go to the center line, but we did a road maintenance agreement, okay. I knew,
Yeah, I know.
I knew we were in charge of the maintenance on it.
It's always easier to make an annexation line on a section line or a quarter section line,
Yeah.
which is usually a center line of the road, but it does cause some problems. We have that condition very well in both the east and the west.
Yes.
And the last note, we met with the representatives from HGM yesterday. We want to get started on the bridge designs. The survey to start that. I did have a question, just protocol here. In the past, for bridge and road designs, I would usually come in and let you know if we're about to do this, and I would sign the agreement. I think Jake has been having a member of the board sign. Was that a simple change or just a change in engineers? And do you guys care who signs it as long as you're being informed beforehand? And again, I don't want to be speaking for Jake. He may prefer to have you guys, but I had to know if it doesn't matter, I will.
I don't think there was anything official that was drawn
No,
up. You
not
just-
that I can remember.
They're your projects.
Well, again, him and I haven't talked about this. I just, he wanted to mention that, the bridge designs will be starting soon. We do have their proposal. It's not signed yet, so, if he decides to sign them, they'll let you know next week, otherwise we'll bring them. So,
Yeah, either way.
again, he may prefer to do that. We just have to talk about it.
Yeah, nothing formal.
Okay, that's all I've got.
Easy
Have
enough.
any questions?
Ready for the snow?
Always.
Good. Did you get your liquor licenses
I
yet?
have a question.
Yeah.
I would. surrounded by, emergency personnel last night. And they were wondering, they said, well, Richard, do you know, does the county have a policy for emergency snow removal? And I said, well, in a sense, yes, but I said, we don't have, I said, I'm pretty sure we don't have designated routes, you know. I was asked by the people of Silver City on last week's ice and stuff, you know, nothing was done north of Silver City or over to Cary and stuff. What's brought this problem on is the people in Macedonia that used to run the ambulance turned their purse and billfold on the seat and said, here's all I got left, and walked away. Kind of jokingly, they just said, you know, after so many years, we're not doing this anymore. So that leaves Henderson with Silver City coverage. Okay, they was just wondering, I said, I'll check it out. Well, he said, we would like to talk to the engineer. I said, I'll see what I can put together. I mean, we've never, that I know of, Kevin, when you was an engineer, I don't think we ever had anything that, you know, designated any one street was taken care of so ambulance could.
No, that's a little bit difficult to pick out a street to be done first. It's, you know, according to the ordinance, we will take care of paved routes first and then move down
Right.
from there. As far as an emergency, I know you guys have discussed that earlier this year. I don't know who ends up declaring the emergency. But that would have the crews go out outside of the normal range designated in the ordinance. Other than that, there have been times in the past, and I know I experienced it, where, you know, we've got a storm. There are some, for instance, some power lines down, which means some people are without heat.
Yep.
And in order for Mid-American to get the lines up, we have went out to make sure they can get to where they need to go. And that is, I believe, read in the ordinance.
Right, and, you know, they said, well, then we think we ought to help rewrite the ordinance. I says, I don't even start that. I says,
That is a ordinance that was written by legal counsel for ISAC.
Right.
And given to the counties. You can check other counties in the state and compare their ordinance to ours, and in most cases, they're word for word. There may be a small variation of the timing. I think, for instance, ours, it's been a while since I read ours, but I believe ours say no go out as early as 5 and stay no later than 7. Another county may be 6 and 6, or 5:30 and 6:30. But they're pretty much word for word, and I think the reason those came about and legal counsel from ISAC wrote it was to keep counties out of a liability situation. So I'd be very cautious in attempting to allow anybody to rewrite it.
I wouldn't want to attempt it.
So,
Pretty stout.
you know, it's part of being here. We do the best we can. We try to learn something from each storm. There are times when something's been predicted and it never happens. There have been times where, whoops, this is a surprise. It wasn't supposed to snow or ice until this time, and it came earlier. So, yeah.
Yeah. No.
You know, one thing that I would say a lot in the past, I continue to say it, is anybody who thinks that the workers down there are not trying their best, or
Go follow them.
the folks on Secretary Rose Department and actually the employees for the entire county, you got to understand they are working around their friends, their family, and their neighbors. The last thing they want to do is board up. Again, we'll do the best we can. And I would not recommend rewriting.
No, that was their idea, and I said, well, I'll try. I have a meeting on the 13th of March with some EMA people. And I said, well, I'll try and get one of the engineers to come and visit with you.
Yeah, and that was the last thing I was gonna say is, I'm sure Jacob feel the same way that I do. If someone wants to meet and discuss.
Yep.
Discuss it.
Well, I feel it's better coming from you than, not that we can't state it, but you're the head of the department and they have questions. So I will see what I can get set up. Okay, thank you.
That's the week after the asphalt problem. So it'll be available once. So I'll pass that on to Jake and give him.
Okay,
The 13th.
13th.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope. March 13th.
Mhm.
Sounds like sick.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. I'm sure you see that.
Right.
Uh,
Push that one out a few days.
I'm assuming that's probably the evening meeting.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, sir. We have for liquor licenses, Amber.
I have Pheasants Forever for a 5-day Class C, a license, special event. I can't date on that one, but it's between February 28th and March 4th. I have Toby Jacks for their Class C. I have the Fountains for their Class C. Oklahoma Golf Course for their Class C, and the E-Stop for Class C.
Everybody's drinking. Good. All the ducks in a row. Everything's good with the state.
As far as I can tell, it's been submitted to us, so that means they've
Good.
followed all their.
I would entertain a motion to approve or disapprove those, gentlemen.
I would so move. To approve all liquor licenses read off by the auditor.
I will second that. We have a motion and a second to approve the liquor licenses for Pheasants Forever, Toby Jacks, Fountains, Glenwood Golf Course, and the E-Stop. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed or abstained?
Thanks.
Jack? Motion carries. Good. Heartland Family Services, come on up.
Wow, I get to come up.
You can, you can come up, you can do whatever you wish. Are you Laurel?
No, I'm Mary O'Neill.
You're Mary,
Yes.
okay.
Nice to meet you.
Mary. You discussed this with us,
Mhm.
perfect.
Yep.
She's already laid some groundwork for you. so.
Oh, good. Okay, so, morning, everyone. Mary O'Neill, Heartland Family Service. So, some folks here may know Laurel Muting and Christy Hagan. That's part of my kind of staff team at Heartland that do a lot of prevention work in the area. And Dawn had reached out to ask about the opioid dollars in Mills County and what some of the thoughts maybe were from Heartland and what we do in some of the other counties we work. In Potawatomi, the dollars are kind of in a planning process yet with public health and a number of community agencies trying to decide how do we use those dollars in the community. So they're kind of going through a bigger planning process of where those dollars are going to go. But we do in Harrison County provide prevention services, and specifically with the opioid dollars, they're being spent on, and with Heartland's involvement, we have prevention staff, and they've just increased the time of a prevention person who's doing a lot of work in the communities and in the schools. And we do work right now in Mills County in the school district, and I think that at least in talking with our prevention team, really feels like Mills County could benefit from more time in the schools with a lot of educational and evidence-based programming around substance use prevention. So that's something that we found that's been successful in Harrison County and in Mills County, because we do receive substance use block grant dollars from the state for treatment and prevention, but it's the prevention side of it's small. It doesn't provide for a lot of time. So we work with, I know Laurel, my team works with Cindy Menendez quite a bit at Glenwood schools, haven't as much interaction with East Mills, but I think that that's something we could do more approach and work there to see if there's some things that we can do there as well. But I think more largely just looking at the communities as a whole and where are the gaps? Where do people feel like there could be more benefit for these dollars? But we certainly have the staff who can do training, who can do a lot of recommendations around kind of assessments of those needs, and then really figure out what's the best plan moving forward. So the nice thing I think with those dollars are that, you know, we have some flexibility in terms of as long as they reach like the definition of what those opioid dollars are supposed to be for. But our staff have a lot of versatility and flexibility to kind of pivot to what the needs are. So I know that, as I said, John was kind of talking about, there is some other, I think, training needs, and that's something that we do now in the community that could be expanded to all like medical professionals. If law enforcement would like any more training, all those kinds of things we can do too with our prevention staff.
Yeah.
So really just kind of.
Yeah.
open
And do you
for-
guys have an office here in Mills County?
Yes.
Okay,
we have one
where
in
is that?
Glenwood.
In Glenwood, okay.
Oh, gosh.
So right,
Yes,
down
we
here?
share with probation.
Okay.
Mhm.
and what kind of services are you already providing here?
So we provide treatment services. So with our block grant, right now, this will all change with the ASOs in the new Administrative Service Organizations of Behavioral Health in July. That will all change. But historically, there's catchment areas. So our catchment areas are Harrison, Potawatomi, and Mills County. So that means it's treatment and prevention.
Okay, all right. Is there an opportunity to use these opioid dollars? Because we're at the very beginning stages of even figuring out what is allowable for
Yeah.
opioid. And, you know, we as a team and a group kind of like, oh, what about this fund? What about this?
Yeah.
What about this? And we know that you've already done that brainstorming in other counties.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about the prevention piece. Are there other things, creative things, like Richard talked about maybe SWETA passes to get to evaluations?
Yes.
We've got the,
Well, if people are going to training on this, how much will opioid pay? I mean, well, if they pay for the training, well, that's nice. But, you know, say they gotta travel a day to get there, hotel, lodging, things like that.
Mhm.
Is that allowable out of the opioid fund?
My understanding is it is, but we can go back and double check. But a lot of the training we can provide on site.
Okay,
Now, depending on if there's really specific training that we can run through the allowables to see if there's certain trainings that can be allowed, but I would think most that are related to substance use would be allowable, but we can double check that piece. But again, many of the trainings we can do on site. I think, Dawn, you and I talked before, but there were some questions about like maybe medication lock boxes, media. I think Potawatomi County was talking about like media education to medical professionals. But we do a lot of the Narcan, the naloxone training. So we already have some dollars for that. So there wouldn't necessarily be a reason to have to use these dollars. We can use our other grant dollars to pay for that. So, but we can expand that. So if we're not hitting some places that we really need that would like more Narcan, the training and would make it more available, we can do that. We can expand what we're doing now. But yes, dollars for transportation, for people for treatment, expanded treatment hours. Yeah. And and if there's some things that people really feel like is a need, we can do that. We can do that research. We can talk to some other providers across the state too and get more information on what some of them are doing. Some counties, from my understanding, pass through their dollars to their block grant provider too. So there's just a variety of things that people are doing across the state with their dollars.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, what do the people identify here in Mills County as a need?
Yep.
And that conversation of, who do we need to talk to? We can speculate as to what the need is, and I see people in court and Greg sees people,
Sure.
but, is there any recommendations that this board or anybody can do to open up the conversation and how quickly maybe we can move on this?
Sure. Would it be helpful if we started with like a community meeting with people that are maybe anybody could really attend, and maybe see what people are experiencing, what they're hearing, and then base some recommendations along those lines, I think there's some people right now who probably have, anecdotally, you're maybe hearing some things in the community, but if it would help to have an information kind of gathering session, pull all of that in, and then we could bring back more from that, maybe more formal kinds of recommendations of what we're hearing. We've done some work with some surveying school folks for some other
Yes.
behavioral health needs, so I feel like we have a pretty good amount of information and from some of our school districts that we work with, and it's usually that feedback is more, they want more support, is what we're hearing, but we can.
I see a lot of gaps right now in our young population. I don't want to be too crazy, but back in our day, it'd be drinking, for example, and the young kids now, we get a lot of referrals for vaping, both THC and nicotine, and it's exploded. I see a lot of kids that are home-based, that are maybe doing home education and are just using drugs. And we've got those little drug houses for kids here, which is crazy to me. But, just getting that education piece early for these kids to understand the effects of that on their body.
Yes, we do a lot in schools, and to your point, Dawn, I think it's, there's a lot of, there are quite a few different approaches, but we really look at what's out there from an evidence-based practice standpoint, and we have some good curriculums, I think, that could really work and resonate with some of the kids in the schools. So, and it doesn't always have to be just the schools, wherever kids might be gathering, that we can have
We have the
access to try to-
library right
Yeah.
now after school. A lot of the kids run up to the library. There's just a lot of kids on early outs that are all just floating around here, the square.
Yeah, it's a lot about early intervention, and of course, it's treatment too, at some point if that's needed, but the more we can do from that early intervention and prevention side, the better.
You guys have any other questions?
No,
Or I
I
was-
don't think.
Sure, any way you'd like, if we wanted to start with the community meeting, you can think about that and let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and if you could just kind of maybe even put together a summary of kind of what your team, now that you've met, kind of what you think your recommendations might be to, just based on the size of this county
Some
versus,
ideas out there.
of some things that you believe that the opioid dollars could be spent. And we would have to give you like a number, like, okay, we've got this number amount of money. How do you think that should kind of be broken down? And so that we've got that for everybody to know and we can be transparent about it.
Sure.
It'd be nice to see those dollars put to use. I know Greg showed us some tools and equipment that he was looking at too.
And there's a lot of stuff out there that's already bought and paid for through grants. And so we don't want to, we already
sure.
get free Narcan if we go down to the pharmacy. So we don't want to use these dollars
Right.
when it's already free. So let's use our dollars wisely and figure out how we can get the free stuff already that's paid for.
Right.
With the opioid settlement funds task force, when it comes down to approving purchases with the money, who gets to approve those purchases?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. And that's a great
What
question.
do other counties do? Is there a?
Do they just
certain
give the money
committee?
to
Do we give the
you?
money to you? Is it the board of supervisors and we approve?
Is it like
I
a
wanna
monthly
make sure that
invoicing?
some money can go to the sheriff's office as well.
Sure.
Just
You can know. Yeah, so.
So, if you look on the state websites for the state opioid plan, there's an exhibit B. That exhibit B totally defines out what can be spent out of the opioid dollars.
Okay,
You get-
perfect.
It is tough because you have to differentiate between substance abuse, opioid misuse, and addiction. So you can't look at it and just say, well, maybe it's a meth problem. Your opioid dollars can't jump into that piece of it. Ultimately though, you as the board would approve those expenditures out of it based on, because you're the ones that have to report back up to say, this is exactly what we got, this is exactly what we spent the money on, this is exactly how it tied to the opioid piece of it. And so I don't think you'll ever want to lose that piece of it. Like if you contract with Heartland, you're gonna contract with them specifically for opioid prevention education and have that listed out.
So the kids aren't just popping pills, they're like,
Right.
oh, cool, a pain pill.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've done it, we Potawatomi County contract with Parlay to do just what she's talking about. Parlay Consulting came in, we held community meetings, on each side of the county. We did an online survey. And ultimately, the focus is gonna be, we wanna be able to report our volunteer first responders, our law enforcement up there, and then our teachers in the schools. How do we get into that early prevention aspect of it because we don't have enough money to make a difference on the treatment. The least conversations a lot of times will dwindle down into a bed conversations. There's not enough beds in our area. We all understand that, but we don't have the funds to make a difference in that. And so what can we do to keep them from getting to that bed, needing a bed aspect of it? So that's kind of where we came down to it. With law enforcement, a lot of times they need things, they have so many trainings that they're going through already. Law enforcement up there told us, they're like, listen, we don't want another training. So if you're gonna say training, just forget about it, we'll do something else. But they're like, but we could use these equipment pieces. And like, well, great, then let's do those equipment pieces for you and tie it back to opioids. But you just always have to make that distinction. Opioids, substance abuse, but that exhibit B really lines it out well for you.
In Pot County, did they end up creating a task force then to help divide that money up, or is that strictly to the Board of Supervisors following the guidelines in Exhibit B?
We had stakeholders involved in the planning process of it. And so now that opioid plan is set there, go Board of Supervisors, we give it to the Board of Supervisors, then people can go to the Board of Supervisors and see if it does align with the plan. And that request would probably come through public health first, and then up to the Board of Supervisors, because we were getting all kinds of requests.
Sure.
People wanted, everybody else had a nonprofit that wanted to drive people around, so they wanted money to drive people around. They wanted money for their lost wages. They lost a loved one to opioids, and they said, hey, you gotta reimburse my wages out of that. And it's like, you guys have a different idea of what the opioid dollars can actually be used for than what they can. So just being really intentional with the goals that we set out in there.
Because with some of our block grant prevention dollars, the state, it's much more prescribed. We can do, like the opioid dollars, we have a little bit more flexibility to meet community need in those categories that are being shared. So that's one of the nice things about it, because it really can be, if it is prevention related, then let's really hone in on what the community feels are those issues and what you're experiencing, and really address that from that perspective. So it is nice to be able to have that community planning side of it too.
Yeah, and you guys are already kind of a one-stop shop anyway that already have these services available for people. So once you've identified maybe a person, a mom, a dad, and an uncle, you can use opioid dollars and then also offer them additional services that you offer that might not fall under the opioid, but they're at least identified as a family in need.
In Harrison County, there's been some discussion about fidelity review teams too. I don't know if people are familiar with those, but really looking back at what's happened in drug-related deaths or overdoses, and really try to gear some interventions to what some of that information is that you could find from some of those fatalities. So that's one thing that's been discussed with our prevention team too, is looking at something like that. So but I do think that even in Harrison County, they're using it for multiple things. It doesn't have to be just one specific purpose.
She says a great point about that fatality review, because there's not, one of the biggest things that came out, and we found is that there's just not good information right now on tracking what's going on with opioid related crisis in our area. And people have a way different perception of it than reality, because when you sit there and you watch the national news and you see, those places like Philadelphia and pharmacies with their, bars on the windows get robbed. We don't necessarily have that here, but we have been contacted by the health systems at different points in time saying there's obviously a bad batch of something going through, because we have 4 ODs sitting in our ER right now. But then those ODs once they go through the process, they get marked down as like heart failure. or something different rather than it's actually related to fentanyl. And so we're just, I mean, we're in the infancies of just trying to figure out how can we get a tracking system that people agree. And every time you say that in the healthcare industry, I mean, people just they start shaking their heads and say any kind of more tracking they don't want it. I mean, they do a lot as it is. But
Well, every death in the county comes through our office, so we know exactly what, if people are overdosing. Like I can think of a few right now off the top of my head that have passed because of overdose.
I'd be in favor of you holding a few community meetings, saying what the need is, and then coming up with a basic plan of what we could use the funds for, coming up with a rough dollar amount and then
Sure.
bringing it back to the board of supervisors. I'd be in favor.
Sure. We can talk from a public health standpoint too, because it's really, I think Potawatomi County's like the one meeting that we had, I mean, was really good. It was good to get so much community involvement too. So I think something similar to just, I don't think it has to take a long time or anything like that, but I think just to really get hear from some community members and make sure we can hear something to what the community feels like they really want to see happen.
Am I allowed to ask a question? Like Harrison County, if this has already been done, how have they measured success?
Well, they've just been getting started. So with some of I can ask about like, we have measures that we have to report on from a prevention standpoint. We do that with some of our state measures. I haven't seen their report yet, just in Harrison County. So they're using their dollars in a multiple way. I know they're doing some treatment support too. I'm not sure if they have some other law enforcement pieces or not. I'm not sure about that, but I can take a look at those. Yeah.
But it still happens here. It'd be nice to not ever have it again, so that's why we need to get to our young kids. So,
Perfect.
okay,
Be in touch.
Yeah.
Keep us updated. We'll
Thank
make
you,
sure
Rick.
we go over
Definitely.
that and help
Sure.
advertise it.
Thank you.
Happy to.
No action taken on that one then?
No. Other than just asking her to put things together. She'll take care of it.
Building and zoning, discuss formal action, possible formal action, professional services agreement. Yeah.
Thank you.
Who's driving the bus here?
Well, I just want to open the floor to what changes, suggestions, if any you guys have to be implemented. Once there's discussion on, I can draft something, or we can have actual action necessary on it. Actually, set everything.
The existing contract, what's our out? I know we both have an out. It's 30 days.
30 days.
That's what I thought.
We should
Okay.
give it everything.
Absolutely.
I think it's good notice.
Yeah.
The problems that I've seen, and we've discussed it, and I've talked to other people about it. I would prefer if we change the language in the contract that treats you more like a contractor as requested. One of the things that I'd like to see is consultants shall be in office a minimum of 3 business days a week for a time frame to be agreed upon by consultant and the county representative. Consultants should be in office at the needs of the department. In addition to that, instead of paying you based on what we do a month right now, correct? $62.50 a month.
so
We should break out your $75,000 that we have allocated for that, put it down to at an hourly rate, roughly 15 hours a week, and then stagger that across the year. Because that puts it more into a contractor's perspective, in my opinion, those two things.
And Audrey, you're what? How many hours a week are you? 28, 29? 20?
20.
20? Okay, cool.
And you said right now you're roughly down here 15 hours a week.
yeah, when I did that calculation out, I calculated it all out. The last thing I was going to get back with it. So It winds up being about $96 an hour, 780 hours. Worked all out, it's about $96 an hour.
Crash, got anything to add?
Well, I thought we was looking at doing interviews and stuff for this, but did those fall by the wayside?
No, you can still do them.
No, we still have the application. We had one person apply, but the contract is due next week and we need to have somebody in the office so permits don't pile up. That's why the month stipulation is still in there. Come March, if we hire somebody,
No, I'm fine with that then.
Has there been any motion on?
Received one over the weekend, which if you guys should be printed out. Yes.
I'm good with how it's going so far, so. Seems to be working for now.
Got any other thoughts, additional comments, anything?
So, just so I get this straight, we could go ahead and sign a contract with him for another year and stuff. We do interviews and things, and we want to change, we can give him 30-day notice.
Yeah, it's term, that 30-day.
All right.
He can give us the same.
Yep, okay, no problem.
What I will do though with Braxton, and I will send it to, Matt for interview, I'll send it to all of you, the email, I'll be individually putting in a forum, you guys can review it. If you have any questions, comments, further additions, anything like that, email me individually, don't CC each other, because we don't have an action on forum.
Right.
And then I can make those changes and resend it out, say, hey, this is the version, that way you guys can all have a chance to review, and then we can have something set for next Tuesday.
Works for me. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man.
He gets his wife.
Matt, will you grab Melissa when you walk out there, please?
Treasurer.
Treasurer.
Yes, I will.
Pictures for you.
Sorry?
We took your pictures for you.
A gal from Missouri Valley who did my soon-to-be brother-in-law and sister-in-law's maternity pictures. And we got her just in time, because she actually, like, I'm not taking any more people. I'll do more pictures if I've done for your client in the past, but putting the brakes on it for now, and she did a really good job. We really like them.
I'm okay with voicing my opinion and voting on this next one with Melissa.
You said previously there's a installation, correct?
Right.
I would have seen this.
Okay.
So anything further when it comes to treasurer's office, they'll have to abstain.
I think that'd be safe, given there's a installation.
And I'm fine with that.
So if I had a brother in the police department, I would have to abstain.
If he was coming before, yeah, I mean, if he was the sheriff, he was coming before you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
If he was just an officer, no, but, or a
Okay.
deputy rather, but
Okay.
I think it's sort of like a case by case basis, like, are they asking
Yeah.
for equipment, or are they asking for raises for everybody, you know, like.
She's helping somebody, she read.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Amber, you want to do yours quick?
Oh, I don't even remember what I have. Oh, yeah.
Minutes.
So, we were asked for some minutes that were missing, from July 15th, August 13th, August 20th, and August 27th, 2024 meetings. I was unable to locate any minutes that were prepared. Thankfully, 3 of the meetings were recorded, so I was able to make notes on those. The July 15th meeting, I cannot find anything on as of yet. So I went ahead and typed up action only minutes from those meetings. So asking for approval for those, with the notation that I was not in office, and so they were taken from recording. The only other thing with the August 27th meeting is there was a closed session, and I don't have the time or who motioned to go to closed session. I also don't have the information on how you came out of closed session, or if you took any action, or what time you adjourned that meeting, because the video ends and that's all I have. So. But that,
She didn't record it?
nope. I can't find anything on the closed session,
Please,
so,
I'll tip you tomorrow.
so if I can get approval on those, I can get them sent in just so they can finish our fiscal year 20.
And what date did you say in July?
The 15th. It was a meeting
It was a
I
short
think it
meeting,
was
if I
short
mean,
meeting.
I'm trying to remember,
to
but
approve accounts payables. And I believe there's only 2 of you here, but I don't have anything.
I can remember doing a meeting, but yeah,
Yeah.
there was only 2. I don't know whether it was Lonnie and I or Carol and I can't remember, but, I would make a motion. I looked through all my papers and stuff before I threw them away, Lonnie and Jack, and I could not come up with anything in August, July and August. Just from memory, and I would make a motion that, we accept the August 13th, the August 20th, and the August 27th minutes as presented today from the work of our auditor, and reprinting or printing these
Further recorded.
from the recording. Make sure we get that.
Yep.
So I think you have a second, Lonnie, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You guys are just gonna approve them.
I'm gonna abstain since I wasn't on the board.
I will second that motion to approve the minutes from August 13th, 20th, and 27th open meetings. Further recording. Is there any discussion? I'm gonna motion in a second. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain?
We should get draft comments from our fiscal year 24
Sure.
audit. Please.
Yeah, we will. Okay,
Travis, he's here.
Travis Hitchcock, you're up.
I ran up here quick, just knock it out. Morning, everyone. I have the 2080 agreements, with, individual cities regarding 911 services. It's kind of a new
Wonderful.
thing that we do that, the chairman of the board signs off on. So I have their signed copies from the cities, and then I would just need the signature from the chairman. So we've got Pacific Junction. We've got Henderson. Hastings. This is Emerson. We've got both of their copies. So I'm still waiting on Tabor. Then Glenwood is a standing agreement. I do know that there is some interest in pursuing a multi-year agreement. It just kind of gets to be an administrative process every single year to do just every year. Whether that's 3 or 5 years. I have had some discussions with Malvern, so I thought on our end, I'll kind of get with the county attorney's office and see if we can get, draft a little bit of language or expand, on these a little bit, and then that'll be presented to you all.
Have we approved Melbourne's already, or are you waiting on that one too?
I need to look into Malvern, on their signed copy.
Okay.
I have not received their signed copy to. So I'm
Okay.
gonna-
Just go ahead. All right, so do you want to make a motion to approve the 2080 agreements between Emerson, Hastings, Henderson, Pacific Junction, and Mills County?
I'll make a motion to approve the chairman to sign the Mills County 28E agreements with Emerson, Hastings, Henderson, and Pacific Junction between Mills County.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2080 agreements between Mills County and Emerson, Hastings, Henderson, and Pacific Junction. We are still waiting on Malvern and Tabor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nobody's opposed, motion carries. Cole, you wanted anybody to make a difference?
It does not to me, no, sir.
Yeah, she could approve that I'm me.
So you can
She
just-
saw me do it.
Yeah.
Or anything
I'm
like
sure there is.
I just have purple and we don't want that.
Oh, lovely.
You know, the other night we discussed Tabor
Yes, sir.
not being a board member. That have to come before this
Within the
board,
Emergency
or is
Management
that,
Commission?
or does that come just before that board? down
Nope,
there?
that's the decision within the Emergency Management Commission because it's already outlined within the bylaws.
Okay.
So they've been eligible to be a member of that commission the entire time, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Take care there. Keep an eye on the storm for us, let us know. For the updates. Still looking at 3 to 5, maybe? Are
This
you
might
gonna
be
be
our real good shot to get some snow this year.
finally?
There's an afternoon weather briefing, so after, I sit in on that, they should send out the updated slides, but it does appear like it's trending a bit further north, and we can see every bit of 4 to 6, maybe even that 6 to 8, kind of range.
So
So,
some snow.
yeah, no,
Just leave it on the ground. Don't pile it up, just leave it.
well, it may be cold enough. That's gonna be real powdery.
Yeah.
They could blow out of here too. 'Cause I think wind chills in the morning, both, Wednesday or word like -7 to 14 or something. It's gonna be chilly.
Great.
Okay,
Melissa,
Thank you, sir.
absolutely. Thank you.
Morning, Melissa.
You're up, Melissa. Approval to hire for an open position. What are you looking to hire?
A universal clerk. Somebody who will be able to do all of the positions from motor vehicle to property taxes and
Good deal.
driver's license.
Was this your old position, Melissa?
I would say yes, I was not trained with driver's license. This one, excuse me, we would most likely start with our motor vehicle and then move them to taxes, which is what I did.
Okay.
Yes.
So technically, it's your old position. Okay. Yep. I'll make a motion to deny the request to hire for the open position in the treasurer's office.
To deny?
To deny.
Yep.
If I get a second, I'll explain why.
Okay. I'll second that for discussion.
Thank you. This was brought up at one of our meetings, one of our work sessions. This is the perfect opportunity when we're looking at our budget for next fiscal year.
Mhm.
It's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
It's gonna be rough because there's things that we have to do. Just looking at budgeting insurance for Greg's department is gonna grow his budget, which is 3.5 million, somewhere around there. It's gonna grow his budget by 10%. So it's gonna be a rough year. And we've tried our best to make sure that 2% is our maximum for this year's county budget. So the reason why I would like to deny your request is I think you have a very capable and fantastic team in the treasurer's office. And it's a perfect opportunity when we're looking at how we can rearrange our funds to make sure that we can still provide the essential services that the residents expect. We can do that, save 100 grand here, and nobody has to lose their job. Nobody has to get fired. I would be concerned with us working on a budget and hiring somebody now, and then come July 1, when the new fiscal year is out, then that person has to lose their job. So I would prefer that we do not hire anyone for this fiscal year at least.
Can I make a statement?
You
Absolutely.
can.
Okay.
Please.
And the only reason I'm semi okay with that,
But we are in a position that if we do have one person gone, that leaves 3 people in the office. 1 person for each department. A, we close for lunch, so that's an hour. B, in the events that sickness happens, vacation happens, that puts us on another person. So if I'm gone, that leaves, I've got 2 gals in motor vehicle, both of which can do a basic tax payment fine. I've got 1 person fully trained in driver's license, 1 is learning, she's new, so we're working with her, she's doing good in driver's license, so our driver's license deputy does kind of back me with the taxes. Right now, training wise, I'm more versed in property taxes and anything that we do, which fine. I mean, we're a small office, we do what we can, but that's my only part is for us to be able to better serve the public. We do operate better with a full staff.
Yeah, well, I'd say, you know, we're talking about any office. Of
Yes.
course, it operates better with a full staff. And looking at Amber's office, she has 2 people down right now, and she's only gonna hire 1 back because she knows about the financial constraints that the county's in right now.
Yeah.
You know, from my perspective, this is just my feeling. We're all, I'm gonna get political here, obviously, we're all Republicans, and we were elected, all of us, actually, if you look back, we all said we'd work to lower taxes. And we're looking at what the state's doing, state mandates, things like that, putting the squeeze on the county. I would prefer that we can stop the bleeding and make sure that essential services are provided. We're talking dispatch, jail, police, and roads and crews. We can provide the essential services that the people in Mills County expect, because I would like to gather that the average voter in Mills County is pretty intelligent, in my opinion. I think they understand that with lower taxes comes a few cuts here and there. And this, in my opinion, nobody has to lose their job.
Yeah.
Nobody has to lose their job.
I understand. Okay. I mean,
I understand your point.
you've seen our lines and, you know,
You have big lines.
with.
Yes,
with
I
driver's
have. I've been in the
license.
lines.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, with driver's license, obviously you can do those anywhere in the state. The DOT went statewide with titling in January.
Yeah.
And it wasn't super public. I don't think that they did any type of a press release. I mean, we are looking at the big picture, being able to provide the best service that we can, and we do. We have a very, very good staff. Everybody, you know, everybody's trained, but I double in motor vehicle when one of our gals is gone. So that leaves 1 person to run motor vehicle anytime. You know, we've got a sickness or even lunches, anything along those lines. The stress that comes for my office when we're down people. I mean, I get it. It's everywhere, but that's my only rebuttal is just, I mean, if we're closed, we do try to put notice out, but sometimes it's not until the morning of. And granted, it is just an hour for lunch, but that's the main reason why we stagger our lunches, so we're able to be
Just like all the
available, you know. I mean, I know when I first started, driver's license didn't close for lunch. I know that was kind of a big deal, you know, 6 years ago when they started closing it for lunch, you know, just to be able to provide that service to the public. There was some grumbling, I think, you know, about that. And we still have people that do that. It's out there. I mean, it's, as long as I've been in that office, we've closed driver's license for an hour, and there's still people that do travel from Council Bluffs. They much would prefer to come to our location, pay the $10 convenience fee, which I mean is fine, and we're grateful for that. But that's just my only thing is that, you know, if we're down, we're down. And I mean, we do what we can. I mean, I think there was last week we had 2 people in the office one morning because we hadn't. I mean, I was like, you guys do what you can. You know, we had 1 in motor vehicle and 1 in driver's license, and taxes haven't come yet, but sometimes I mean, you get driver's license taxes and motor vehicle and.
Same lines.
I mean, yeah, yes, just, you know, to be able to do our job and do it correctly and everything. That's all I want. That's all I'm saying.
I,
Yes, and
completely
I fully,
understand.
you know, I fully understand. As far as our budget now, I mean, it's there for us to be able to do it going forward. I mean, I think we budgeted for it as well, but I understand.
Yeah, you did budget for the full-time position, right? And move into next fiscal year. Yeah, like I said, my only concern, we got 10% raise here. I had a county attorney that gave me a 3.5% budget. We got 75,000 that we have to give to juvenile detention. Insurance, things of that nature.
Yeah.
County's bleeding. I want to try and stop the bleeding as much as we can without having to fire anyone.
Appreciate that.
And for discussion, I'd like to see you keep that in your budget for now, for next year, and if things look good, then we can fill it then.
Okay.
That would be.
Yeah, I'd be
that would be
comfortable with
my-
that. Yeah, if we can move some numbers
Still
around.
plan for it, but right now, yeah. Good. Any other discussion?
I brought the January, my annual report. My apologies, I realized this morning I didn't.
Okay.
So I can do that. I can leave it.
Yeah.
And then I have homework.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor
Denying the request?
of your motion, yes.
Aye.
I
abstain.
Oh, we can still plan for it.
Mhm.
And if we can't, then you'll be the first to know. We're gonna sit down again with budgets, so. If you want to leave that stuff, I can do whatever. I'll just wait and see you after the meeting. Wonderful. Lori's next.
If we have just a brief moment.
Yeah.
I have contact law agreements. Do those normally, need to be on the agenda, for example, separately, as they go in? Do you remember? I wasn't here
Oh.
last year.
I sent you an email last, I look into it and let you know, but I don't know for sure how it was done.
Yeah, I thought maybe you guys don't remember.
Yeah, we sign them, so I'd like to see them come through us, so we can
Okay.
just to formalize it.
Amber, did you put me on the agenda?
Because otherwise, you're the only one that has a record of it.
Correct. I
If we
sent
do
I
it
sent out the
here,
request.
then
Yep, I sent out the request. However, on past, the board president does sign off on them, so. I just didn't know the procedure, and thought since we had a break in the action.
The more formal, the more paper trail, the better it is.
I have you on the agenda, but you might want to send me.
I have the originals here, all 3 copies.
Okay.
Lori, consideration formal action, approval to hire for open position.
And what position is it, Lori?
Clerk.
And who had that position prior?
Well, Angie still has that position now.
Okay. Pointer deputy. I'll make a motion to approve the hiring of a part-time staffer in the recorder's office.
Part-time?
Part-time.
What you asking for?
Well, I have full-time now, so,
She came in yesterday and spoke. But if I get a second once again, I can explain my reasoning.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve a part-time clerk for the recorder's office. Any discussion?
It's the same thing as we just said with Melissa, 10% when it comes to insurance for Greg, 75,000 to juvenile detention. County's bleeding. If the state keeps on
The
passing down,
75 to juvenile detention though is only about a 10,000 increase.
my knowledge, it was at 75,000 overall for juvenile detention and a few other things from what I read.
Yeah. The last year was in the 60s, so.
Okay. County's bleeding. I think you can understand that. You guys spoke a lot about unfunded mandates at our first meeting. I have deep concerns with bringing you down to just 2 people. I don't think your office can operate with just 2 people. You understand that. The office did have 2.5. that you started off as that half. I'd like to see that half start now. Come the next fiscal year, you can continue to budget for it. If money gets freed up, if we can move some numbers around, then we can turn it into a full-time. But for now, I'd like to put it as part-time, because if you do hire a full-time now and number is tight and we have to make cuts, I don't want it to be your staffer that either gets cut from a full-time to a part-time, or they get just laid off in total. So it makes more sense to me now to hire a part-time person up until July 1, and we know what the budget's gonna be.
One question that I have is, with only 2 employees in there, the part-time would be 2.5.
Mhm.
You couldn't go to ISAC or any classes if someone was sick.
Yeah, correct.
If someone was sick, she wouldn't be able to go.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
So how do we keep her trained with new rules and regulations if she can't go to?
Well, it's the odd chance that somebody's sick. I'll talk about Luann. Luann didn't even go to the ISAC training, so they came to recorder. So
She did once she got full-time staff.
So last time I checked with her, she really didn't go to the ISAC training because she didn't believe that there was enough for recorders.
The only one that she didn't go to was the new officer training. There
Yeah.
wasn't recorded.
No, otherwise she attended
went.
for every school there was.
It's when prior, when I was only part-time and Angie was only part-time, not always.
When you both
So
were
it's
part-time,
difficult. Angie started as part-time also.
and so you both started as part-time,
Correct.
and so it was 2 people, and this would be 2.5.
No, it was 2.5. Luann, when I first started, it was Lisa Tallman,
Okay,
recorder, Luann full-time. I was part.
okay,
Then I didn't go full-time until then. Lisa was gone. Then Luann became recorder and I became full-time. We hired Angie then as part-time. Then
Okay.
Angie went up to full-time. You know, it's fluctuated.
yeah,
Years work, we were very busy.
Yeah.
It's not been that way this year because of real estate. Hopefully this will continue, but.
yeah.
So it is difficult in that office when it is busy. We don't just do real estate. There's a lot of
Well,
different
license,
things
things
and
like
we
that.
all do
Parent
everything.
license. Yep,
We all do everything, so that does help, but, the other thing I was gonna look into passports. If we had 2.5, probably not.
yeah, well, if you had passports, you wouldn't be able to do certain other specific things, correct?
That person would be dedicated to passports, could not do vital records, but they could still do recordings and, votes and hunting. They could take vital record applications, they just couldn't process. And the passports would be up by appointment, and so that would help, but if we only had a person, that I was thinking that new person would probably be the passport person. I don't know.
Moving
I
into
just don't-
July, they
It's
could,
really hard to
start
know.
doing
We've never had the passport since I've been here, so.
yeah,
I'm going to a district meeting at the end of this month to talk to other recorders that many of them do have passport services. I even like to look at what they have, but
I'd like to see what kind of money they can turn off.
yeah.
I would too, coming for the new fiscal year budget.
And I don't know, so I contacted, the website to look into it, to apply to be an agency acceptance facility. And they're asking me to describe my facility, like it needs to have somewhat private. I was thinking that front office, but then we have to have some kind of petition made, I don't know.
You have to get the
But,
camera and stuff.
So I didn't answer that yet because I stuff in the air, but.
Yeah.
It's, like I would hate to take on that and then, we only have a part-time person and keeping up with the other stuff, or the other thing about part-time, like with sickness, then we'll have to maybe close at lunchtime sometimes, and we haven't closed in, I don't know how long, I do not like to close at all.
I don't like to see our
People
offices
do not
closed
like,
either.
and I don't like people that have to drive in to do something and close.
Yeah.
No,
But, I mean, I understand, it's money and we try really hard not to spend and.
Well, you and Luann are both very frugal with your money. I've seen the office supplies you have in there, so.
But as training goes, I don't think you should bypass training if it's available. We will make, or you can make some kind of arrangements, put up, maybe post a week in advance, office will be closed during noon hour or something like that, when there's only one of you there or something, you gotta get out of there.
The trick is, where do you post it where people see it?
I know.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think you should bypass training because you never know what the state's gonna change or what you're gonna need to know.
There's a
So,
lot coming up
right.
now with us. I will never. Changes pop up. I'm kind of new to
But you're doing great.
Yeah. Good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of hiring a part-time position? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Keep us updated on how this is working. Because right now, it is budgeted for a full-time position up until June 30th.
And so the higher,
Yeah,
the
it's,
higher is.
yeah. And while we're going through some budget discussions here, we can see, I'd still like to see a budget, for now, for the full-time. And if we can't, then we can cut it.
I was gonna request to appoint Angie. Deputy.
That's the next on the agenda. Yeah.
Do we just need a motion to?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 25-02 to appoint Angie Radford as the deputy reporter.
How much of your salary?
80%.
80%. Crouch, second that.
Yes, I did.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2502, appointing the deputy recorder at 80% of the recorder's salary. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call.
Crouch.
Yes.
Sayers.
Yes.
Mayberry.
Yes. Good. I'll sign that if you need to.
This is something you do later.
Yeah.
That's fine. This is her, but she can notarize it for you too. Anybody with this could notarize it. I'll take the letter. Let's make it bring the letter. Oh, okay. No, yeah, I'll take copies. I'll get you copies.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you. Oh, no, I don't think so. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Next item on the agenda is new business. Anybody got any new business to discuss?
Not.
Nor do I.
One thing I kind of brought it up, the EMS people and stuff I told him, I said, well, I can ask him to come and he can visit with you, but he will tell you the same thing that I can, that we will not change policy. And I realize maybe some people don't like the way the policy works, but if we go out of our realm, then our insurance is no good.
Yeah,
I
ICAP's notified that.
Right.
Yeah.
I
You
said
don't disturb me, right?
that holds true with you the same way. You have certain things you can do. And if you step over the line, you're on your own, right? Well, yeah. I said, with the saw goes two ways.
I did want to mention, I just remembered, candy with Henderson, told me last week. So I went out and visited them, a couple of their city council members. Currently, they would like to turn over their truck route back to the county. They're in contact with Jake. They have a city council meeting tonight. They're gonna discuss it more formally. And then they'll get back to Jake and work with Jake on a few things, and then they'll bring some sort of proposal to us afterwards. That's what I know from that. But they get right now to maintain that road, $4,500, mix of, I believe, farm to market and another funding source. They just figured out that they can't maintain it as much as they thought they would. Obviously, the cost of things have changed over the last
This is the one that goes in front of co-op, right?
Yep. So 4,500 might have gotten you a few potholes a couple years ago, but it sure doesn't get you many now. So they would like to give it back over to the county. Just an update for you both. And with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn at 9:30.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn at 9:30. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're adjourned.
Coffee now, one.
Yeah, I would go for a cup there.
Need some more? Greg?
No, I'm good. Thank you.